watching The Breakdown with your host, Angry Cat. Disgruntled cat. Cadillac of cats.
Or like Sean likes to call me catastrophe.
I mean, that's, let's be honest, that's not
far off.
It's fairly introductive.
Hi everyone.
Hi
everyone. Hi everyone. I'm Catherine, aka the High-Heeled Gamer. And welcome to The Breakdown. It's a little bit confusing because everybody's having technical difficulties today. Shocker. Shocker. So I have a big announcement. I'm pretty sure that next week is our 100th episode. Okay, since the producer gods have not spoken, I am correct. No? The 29th?
I think
When
so.
is our 100th episode?
It's supposed to be. I'm just double checking because we had a lot of.
Yeah, that's why I was like.
Rearrangements. Hold on.
While we wait.
Please hold.
Hopefully next week is our 100th episode. Oh my God, I like the background. I always forget.
Oh, that it changed? I made it purple.
Yeah, thank you.
Purple like grapes.
I mean, yeah, that's one thing.
It is. Why was there such a long delay? That was a really long delay.
Because I had to think about it. I'm used to green.
What did we? Oh man, why is this so hard to figure out? I want to say you're correct, but I feel the need to be like.
I want to say I'm correct too, but I'm rarely correct. So.
Like, let's see. So last week we did not have a guest.
No.
So you are correct.
So next week. Okay. So next
week.
Episode
30 of season 3 will be our 100th episode total ever in the whole wide world. And we have a guest tonight.
We do. Hi.
Oh, can't hear him yet. Check your audio settings.
Yep.
Nothing yet.
Yeah. It's in the little setting cogwheel at the bottom. There. By the X button of your name.
It's Wednesday.
In case whenever you don't know what day it is, just hop on over here and see if we're having technical difficulties or not.
I was like, what was that word? Difficulties.
Technical difficulties. I just learned how to speak like a couple hours ago. Leave me alone, Jack.
Still no audio. Check your mic settings just on the computer itself.
Make sure it's not attached to earbuds too, because that's happened.
That's never. Oh wait, maybe it has.
It happened once. Yeah, they had like the phone earbuds and it had the mic thing.
Clips. Oh my God.
So I'm announcing that next week is our 100th episode, and we're holding a contest. Surprise! Starting tomorrow, you will have a chance to enter for this contest. And every day starting tomorrow, I will reveal what will be in the prize box. Yay! Every day I will post a new picture and not a new link, but the same link so that way you can try to enter again. And then on the 100th episode, I will announce the winner. Yay. No family members just no family members are allowed to enter. So
I'm messaging Ezra, see if he can.
Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yay!
Oh, there he is.
Hi.
Yay! Sorry, you guys. It's
No,
always,
you're
I have all these
good.
buttons that are supposed to make noises, but
yeah.
y'all can't do
Yeah.
anything.
If I knew, if I was computer savvy, I'd have like the little confettis coming down on my there.
Dude.
But if I were, then this wouldn't have happened in the first place. So
Welcome, welcome. Um, yeah, so everyone say hello to Ezra Gale. Oh, he's on this side for me. Ezra Gale.
I'll say hi.
How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad to be here. We tried once, and now we're trying again,
Yeah, that was
and
like mega technical
that,
difficulties day.
yeah, that one, the technical difficulties was like the villain who just slugged us out, and that was it. It's
Yeah,
like
pretty
a
much.
really short comic. It would like end it on page 2, you know?
Yeah. Well, welcome aboard. And we are actually going to talk about Ezra's project, which is a wonderful combination of comic books and music. Correct me if I'm wrong, but your Kickstarter ended, correct?
Yeah, that's right. It ended
Okay.
2 or 3 weeks ago. So now I'm deep in actually making this thing happen now that it was successful, which is awesome. But then there's the after part, which is like, oh shit, now I got to do this.
Now I got to get it done.
Yeah.
Well,
So
tell us a little bit about it so that way everybody can get hyped and excited.
yeah, well, so I record and write songs as the ear goggle. And for this, so I did a double album, 2 record set, and I have a comic book that illustrates all the songs. And it's like anthology style. So it's all these different artists from all over the world that I found who are each taking a song and doing it in their own style. And so the record and the book come together. So it's like a kind of multimedia experience, hopefully. Hopefully people put the record on and then like, you know, read the comic as they're listening, or maybe, you know, one or the other or whatever. We'll see what happens, but that's the
So
idea.
these aren't like audiobooks. These aren't like read to, this is like soothing, or some of them are soothing because I have heard samples of a lot of them. So some of them are soothing and you can, and some of them you really rock out. Like you really just want to like let your hair down and just headbang and stuff
Yeah,
like that. So
some of them are
what,
not so soothing, I think. Yeah.
yeah. So what made you decide to come up with this idea, the whole putting, was it the songs first that came, or you read the comic and was like, oh, like this feels like a song?
No, it was definitely the songs first, because I think it started really. I've always been interested in combining music and other art forms, just kind of
Okay.
just to see what happened. I think the most typical example is like musical theater. If you see it done really well, you see a show that has music, it's like it's more than the sum of its parts, you know? It's like you can be obsessed with Hamilton. Maybe you have 2 kids like I do who are obsessed with Hamilton, and so you hear that soundtrack all the time. And it's great. You know, I love it. I love the songs and everything, but when you see the show, when you watch it, you know, either if it's on TV or live or whatever, something else happens. Like you see the set design and you see the characters, and you get drawn into the story more, and the songs take on a different meaning. So I always wondered, like, well, what would that look like with visual art? Like, how could you do that with a painting or just something visual like that? And then I ended up, I don't know, this thing happened like a year ago where all my gigs dried up, and my life as normal just stopped happening, and I couldn't really go out and do the things I normally do. So I had to find some other stuff to do. And so I wrote a bunch of songs. And I also went back and took out all these songs that I had worked on the last couple of years, and kind of like ended up with this group of songs that were there. Was a lot of them about characters and narratives and stories and stuff. And so I just started thinking like, well, what could this be? Maybe this could be a comic book. Maybe this could be like, and initially I was thinking like, let's get one artist to do the whole thing, but the
Oh,
songs
wow.
themselves aren't really connected. And so
Oh, okay.
then I had the idea of, okay, let's make this like an anthology thing and have different styles for each song, a different artist. And so the only thing, you know, all I did was I sent the artist the lyrics and then a demo of the song. And it was like, okay, the only rule is that the lyrics are the text, you know, and you can do that however you want.
Um,
You know, you can make that dialogue, you can make that coming out of somebody's mouth, you can make it, you know, narration, whatever, you know. And so everybody had a kind of a different take on it, but that was basically, I just wanted to see like, let's just see what this looks like, you know.
how did you decide which artist got which song?
Yeah, that's, I kind of set out, I have this this friend of mine from high school who I keep in touch with on Facebook, who's a comic book writer. His name's Colin Devonshire, and he has got this great zombie apocalypse series called By the Time I Get to Dallas, about the end of humanity and everything. And I am just all here for anything that's in that genre, you know. So he hooked me up with some artists, and then they hooked me up with some artists, and they hooked me up, and I got involved with all these Facebook groups of comic book artists, and I just started checking out people's arts and just looking and just kind of bookmarking the ones that I really liked, and then I just started reaching out to them. And then I don't know, it was kind of just a gut feeling like this guy's style. I want to see what that would look like with this song. You know, I want to see what I did kind of think about. Like, oh, this would be cool for this song, and this kind of music would be cool for this art. But I don't know how I came to that conclusion. It's a really good question.
I was just wondering because I know there's like a lot of artists from around the world, and I didn't know if it was, you know, you saw their art and it spoke to you with the song, or you just felt like they could do something with the song that,
yeah,
you know.
I think it was more of that. You know, one thing I discovered was that most comic book artists, most of the art that I saw was very like superhero comic, like, you know, your typical, like, you know, bulging muscles with the tight outfits and image and like, you know, and that's all fine, but it's like these songs are not about superheroes. They're just, so anytime I saw an artist that was doing something a little different, I kind of like, you know, saved it and kind of came back to it and was like, all right, I want to see what this is like. Because I wanted to have a lot of different styles. I didn't want it all to look a certain way or whatever, you know, because the songs are very different. Like you said, some of them are soothing, some of them are very not soothing.
Yeah.
So, no.
Well, I mean, it could be soothing to somebody. I thought about that too. I was like, you know, somebody might find it soothing too. And for me, like, I enjoy different types of oh, sorry. I was reading. They want to know the gentleman's name, Colin.
Colin Devonshire. That's right. I went to high school with him. He's got a great series called By the Time I Get to Dallas, which yeah, I highly recommend. It's a very bleak view of humanity's future. If you're like me, that's all you need to check it out. So.
Yeah, pretty much. I am 100%. So what exactly? Walk me through your thought process when coming up with one of these songs for the comic book, or is it a different thought process per song?
Yeah, it's different per song. I mean, honestly, the songs were kind of written first, and then I went about kind of thinking, like, okay, what am I going to do with them now? I guess. But part of the process, honestly, was that for the last, like, I don't know, many years, I've been thinking, okay, it's so easy to release music now. As a musician, we could go on Bandcamp like after this conversation, and we could put this conversation on Bandcamp and tell everybody that we made an album, you know, and which is great in a way, but it's also like, well, so what? You know, there's so much stuff out there. So when you have an album of music, how do you get people to notice it? How do you get it out there? How do you do something different? You know, and so so I wrote the songs first. I mean, I feel like I have to be creative and kind of shut everything else out and just create the songs and then look back on it and say, okay, now what do I do? And so in this case, it was like, okay, I think this could be paired with comics. And then I set about finding the artists and really kind of like joining the two art forms together, joining each song with a comic.
Now, when you saw these comic book artists come back with these images and these pages, were you immediately like blown away, or did you, not in a rude way, obviously, but did you go back and tweak it and be like, no, that's not exactly how I pictured it? Was there any type of exchange that way?
Yeah, honestly, the vast majority really did come in, and I was like, wow, like, oh my God, it's so flattering, you know, because, you know, I create these songs mostly on my own. I had some musicians who played on them that I sent the tracks to and stuff. But mostly it's just me like working in my studio right here in the studio. And then just so nobody else had even heard these songs, and then to send them to somebody and have their interpretation, like of a totally different art form, to come back to me with my song. It's, you know, that was the first thing. It just was like, wow, this is amazing. And like somebody did this for my song. So, and most of them honestly were just kind of perfect right off the bat. I felt like they really nailed it. But yeah, there were a couple times where I was like, well, you know, actually what I was thinking was more this when I wrote the song. Maybe it could have this type of vibe, you know?
Yeah. And did they seem perceptive to it?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
one thing I discovered was that most comic book artists are not really told like, hey, just do whatever you want. You know?
Oh.
They usually get like, you know, a script, like panel 1, we see our hero on the building, you know, on the rooftop looking down at a bad guy below. You know, so panel 2, he swoops down and clocks the mugger in the face. And panel 3, we see, you know, this, and it's like, so some of them were definitely like, you know, they were taken aback, like, what do you mean? What do I do? Do you have a reference? Do you have this or that? But most of them, I have to say, were just like, oh, cool. You know, I get to just run with this and do something, you know, do my own
Yeah.
art. And that was what I wanted. I wanted it to kind of work out like that. There were definitely some cases where I had to kind of like ease them along to sort of give them a little more direction and be like, well, you know, this is what I was thinking, and this is one way it could go. This one right here is this guy from Morocco, Z Houti, his name is. And this was one of the ones that just came in, and it was just, I just thought it was perfect. And I gave him no instruction like at all. I just sent him the song and that was it.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's one of the samples that I saw, and I was like, oh, that's really neat. Like, that's definitely different. So let's learn a little bit more about you, Ezra. How long have you been creating music?
Oh, well, gosh.
Did I just date you? I'm sorry.
Let's just say it's been a while, you know. Okay, I don't mind. I'm about to turn 50. And
Oh, sweet.
so that's and that's all good. I haven't freaked out about it yet. You know, there's still.
Well, you look amazing, so you shouldn't really be freaking out about it. You should be like, yeah, I'm turning 50. I look good.
Well, so far it's good, but it probably, like, you know, since whatever. I mean, I started playing guitar in high school or so, and I've been in bands since my early 20s, basically, and then doing this at full time, like, I don't know, 20 or 25 years or so, something
Wow.
like that. Been in a lot of bands, toured around the world, really, and played with all kinds of incredible people. And really, it's just, I mean, I look at it as one of these weird silver linings of the pandemic, really, because I couldn't go out and play gigs, and because I couldn't get together with other people, I really had to. Not that I had more times. I have 2 young kids, so I had less time than I've ever had before. But I had to put all this creative energy that I was putting into these other things. I had to do something else with it. And so it kind of inspired me to like take all these songs out and really examine them and kind of like work on them in a way I probably wouldn't have done otherwise. So that was one kind of cool thing, I guess.
So I see the guitars and I see the drums. How many instruments do you play?
You know, I started on guitar. Bass is probably my main instrument nowadays. And then keyboards, I've always played, not very well, but, you know, just enough. You know, when it's funny because on all these songs in the comics, when I'm doing the credit, I decided the way to do the credits was going to be in each comic in the first panel to put the artist and then to all the musicians who played. And most of the songs are actually just me, but the ones that have other musicians, it honestly just got a little redundant when I was listing all the instruments that I played. So I just decided to put everybody else and then just say me, everything else.
Everything else.
That's how it was credited, you know? So, yeah.
I love it. I didn't notice that when I was going through the samples. I didn't notice, and that's how you worded it. That's hilarious.
It's just a space saving thing. It was like, okay, wait, I can't put all these instruments to here. There's no room.
Everything else.
Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah. So, but I mean, you know, and I say it too, but I'm not. I have some amazing singer friends who are on this album who I'm just like so overjoyed to have it, to hear my lyrics coming back with like a real singer singing them you know, if you've ever have the chance to do that, you should do it. It's awesome. It's like a drug. It's like, wow, give me more.
And then a nice, good adrenaline rush.
It is a rush, yeah, for sure.
So has obviously there are samples for people to hear. The musicians on this project, have they like what is their feedback when they saw the artwork with the songs accompanying it?
Yeah, they were really, it was really great. Because I don't think, at least that as far as anybody said, nobody's ever seen this before, or
I
it hadn't
haven't.
gone to something that they played on. And also didn't tell a lot of them that I was doing this until it was done. I was
Oh.
just like, here's this song, could you play drums on it? You know, here's the song, could you sing? And then
Oh.
so only like a couple months after that, you know, did I send them like, hey, you remember that song that you came over and sent? I sent it to like my Tayana, who sang the song "Breathe," who's an amazing singer. And I was just like, and she probably did. That was like pre-pandemic. We did that song. She
Okay.
came over to my studio in Brooklyn and just sang, and it was great. And I was just, hey, remember that song a couple years ago? Hey, check this out, like, you know, and it's this whole artwork or whatever. And she was just like, what, you know, you didn't tell me you were gonna do this. So
That's so
that a couple
cool.
people were like that. I think everybody's been pretty, you know, pretty positive on just seeing the more of a possibility that they didn't know was going to happen with this.
Yeah. So when I heard about it, like I'm not gonna lie, I was like, that makes zero sense. Like I don't understand what is happening. What are you trying to say? Like I'm supposed to listen to music while reading a like I was confused. And I thought you did both. Like I thought you wrote and
Right.
did the artist. And then once I read the synopsis and understood it, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then the samples, like they really do go with the images that these artists have created for your songs. Like how would you describe your if you not necessarily a genre, but if you had to describe your type of, music that you play, what would that be?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I really should have a better answer for it because it really jumps around so much. I mean,
Yeah, that's why.
I get all kinds of things. I mean, people have said David Bowie and Talking Heads, and other people have said jazz, because there's a lot of upright bass on some of the songs and Afrobeat
Mhm.
on some of the songs. So I mean, that's one thing that I've always been into with music is jumping around to different styles. I've played so many different types of things. I played a lot of jazz, I played a lot of reggae, played a lot of funk and a lot of rock and a lot of Afrobeat and African music. And I've always liked albums that give you a song of this style and then jump around to this, well, it's still sounding like the same band, but I like that. I like when, you don't get an album that's like 10 songs that all sound the same.
Yeah, and that's what surprised me because I was like, okay, this is not just one genre or one style of music because you can, when you have that one style, you can tell whose song it is and, that the artist is that artist,
Right.
with the exception of maybe like a couple of songs here and there. But yours definitely is a good mix of different types of styles, and sometimes it felt like combinations of genres. Which I found pleasantly surprising because I didn't, I didn't know what to expect. When somebody's like, "Hey, this is what we've got," and I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know what to expect." So it was definitely nice not to have like the redundancy of the songs in your head, if that makes sense. Was that something that you sought out, that you were like, okay, no, I definitely want to execute my different, what's the word I'm looking for? Like my different techniques, my different types of skills.
Yeah, definitely. And it was a big part in choosing the artist too. And it was a big part of why I decided to choose to use different artists and not just one.
Mhm.
And then also to really consciously look for artists who did different styles. Because I didn't want, I felt like the music was so, it jumps around so much from style to style and has all these different elements in it that I thought the art should too, and give it more of a landscape like that. And I mean, as far as when I created the music, it was like I feel like I have two sides of two brains basically. Like there's the creative brain, and when you're creating, everything else has got to just be shut off. Like you have to just go for it, and just
Mhm.
every time I've tried to write a song, that I'm like, okay, I need to write this type of song, and it needs to be like this kind of emotion. It's got to be happy and positive, and I'm going to use acoustic guitar. It never works. Like I can do it, and I wish I could do it, but when I try and do that, it's a block, and I'm like, I get frustrated. I can't do it. But if I just go for it and go for something else, and something else happens. So it was more the period after I'd written all these songs when I was kind of curating it and like, okay, what group of these could, because I ended up with a lot more songs than were on the album.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, well, which group of these could be the album? And yeah, I want to choose some different sounding stuff. So I want to have, this rocker as here, and then I want this to go into this more funky track, and then this kind of more like mellow lullaby kind of track, So I was kind of looking for that, and then and then I had never really done this before with pairing it with an artist. So that was like a whole other element. It was, it was interesting. Like when I was sequencing the album, like to choose the order of the songs, which I've always done before, and just thought about, okay, what's the listening experience like? How I want to take you on a journey. I want to, like, usually the first track, I want to really grab you, and then kind of like sit back a little bit and make you kind of like get into it, and make the album flow like that. But then this time I really had to think about, okay, but what about the book that's going to be reading? Like, which comic should be the first one? Which comic should be the second one? And it was different, actually. It was interesting. I made some choices in terms of the order of stuff that I wouldn't have done if it was just music, I think.
Okay.
So it is intended to work together like that.
Well, since there's more songs, is there a possibility of another anthology scoop exclusive?
Yeah. I mean, actually, the other project that I've been working on in along with this one at the same time, actually started earlier, is more of a rock opera kind of concept album, and that one has one artist, Olive Mitra, who's done 2 of the songs on this record. Because that one, the songs are connected. It's the same characters, same story.
Okay.
And so then I felt it was appropriate to use the same artist.
Okay.
And so that one, hopefully the idea is, since this Kickstarter was successful and this one is, now I'm hopefully going to actually finish it, which it's like 95% done now. So
wow,
I think it's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen. But and once this is finally done and out there, then I want to get that one. That one is about, I don't know, 50% done right now. The music is done, but the art is still being worked on. So that was some of the other songs I was writing along with these, that fit into this other story. These were kind of the songs that didn't fit into that story and with those characters.
Okay. So that sounds cool though, with like the rock opera. Like that's pretty. Did that come about because of this anthology, or I'm sorry, you said you were talking so quick. I was trying to pick up.
Sorry. I got so excited, that's all.
And withdrew, like you should, like 100%.
Yeah. No, that I actually started working on that first.
Okay, that's what I thought you said, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was trying to.
But that one's a more involved kind of. I don't know. I like. That one's definitely like what I said about, when I sit down to try and write a song with an idea, it doesn't work. That's been a good exercise for me, because doing that that's exactly what that project requires, because I kind of had to sketch out sort of a story and then be like, okay, now it needs a song for this part of the story. Like, this needs to happen, this character in this song. And so now I have to write that. So that's been good for me to do that, because I've never worked that way before. So that's been going on the whole time. I actually started that like a year or so before I think these songs started happening.
Okay. So I know you had a video up on YouTube of you rediscovering your comic books up in your attic. So did that make you like want to jump in to see what's going on now?
Yeah, I can't. Yeah. Well, okay. So one of the cool things about doing a Kickstarter is that which I've never done before. So I did all this research, like basically like going down this rabbit hole every night of like comic book Kickstarters and whatever. And I saw such cool shit, and ended up spending so much money because because I just ended up, I gotta get this one. I mean, part of it was like, I wanted to support people and reach out and say, hey, I got this project too. And that's great. This little community kind of happening behind the scenes. But also, more honestly, it was more just like, whoa, this looks amazing. I want this. And they've, and so I've started getting this stuff in the mail that that I backed, like during my campaign or whatever. And it's great. I mean, there's some really great stuff. And I haven't, it's true. Like my golden age of following comics was, high school and like maybe a little bit afterwards when I was an X-Men junkie and, Marvel Universe all the way. Like,
Yep.
and then, and then after that, I got into, as I got older in college, and like I got into more of like Love and Rockets, and there was a Peter Baggy's Hate. I don't know if anybody knows that book, but all these books that were like normal people, which
Oh,
I'd never seen comics do that, and I was just kind of like, whoa, like this is cool. Like this is just a dude who's who's kind of like me, and then there's
yeah.
a comic about
Just
him. Like
going through life.
go through life, he doesn't have superpowers. And so that was cool, and that really grabbed me. And then stuff like Art Spiegelman's Mouse and stuff like that, like
Oh,
that
yeah.
was just really like, okay, wait, this can be like as high an art form as anything. So it's always been, comics have always been something that I've really liked, and graphic novels, like just I've been reading some with my daughter of like Raina, the Raina books, Raina Telgemeier, and which are very autobiographical, like adolescent and whatever, but they're so well done. And it's great. It's just such a great entry point for new readers,
Mhm.
and then for all of us, really, it's just like I feel like the way that it marries the image and the words, and draws you into the story like that. It's always kind of kept a grip on me, really. But I'm not a full on comic guy anymore, but I mean, I'd like to get back into it a little bit, but it's so huge that
Yeah, it is. It's like, oh, every time I walk into the bookstore, it's like a kid in
yeah,
a candy store. My husband's always like, focus on the books that you ordered. And I'm like, I can't. There's just so much. Like, it's terrible. And then he gets in there and he's like, oh my God, you're right. And then the next thing you know, we've spent $200 each. And it's like, oh, we
exactly.
failed ourselves. Like, so it is a lot. How old is your daughter?
She's 8 now.
Oh, okay. So she's just getting into that whole chapter book reading
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah. So it's been really great to go on that journey with her, and and just see that, kind of see like that wonder, and that like, oh wow, like I remember that. I remember seeing comics for the first time, just going down the rabbit hole there.
yeah. Has she experienced the comic book store yet?
No, not yet. I don't think. I mean, because partly because this kind of has all happened like the last like 2 years or whatever.
Oh, okay, okay.
We just haven't been going into, so hopefully soon, like we won't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to worry about all this, like keeping our
Yeah.
distance and ordering it. We've been noticed ordering tons of stuff online. So
Aw,
yeah,
that's super
I'd
cool.
like her to have that experience. Although, I mean, I spent a lot of time in my comic shop, yeah, after high school, which was on Broadway and 94th Street in
Oh, I hear you.
and it was on like above a shoe store. And eventually I got to where I had a folder that I would show up, and they'd be like, oh, Ezra, here's your comics for this week. And
Mine was on Fordham Road, and it was above this. It was in between the sneaker store and the Blimpies that we had. So it was you had to go in between the Blimpies and the sneaker store up the stairs. Prayed that you wouldn't fall through the floors. Yeah.
like the secret entrance.
Yeah, yeah. It always felt like so cool because like the stairs were like this big, and you're just like, it's always so cool.
Yeah.
Well, Ezra, we're at our end stopping point, unfortunately. Let everybody know website where they can find your work, your music.
Yeah, I mean the Kickstarter. I see you got the Kickstarter link in the chat there, which is great. That's not a live campaign, but there's a link there it's now on Bandcamp, so you can pre-order it on Bandcamp, and you can also check out the Kickstarter. Is good because you can look at a lot of the art and hear the music. And I made some movies that kind of like do the Ken Burns effect with the comics, and
Oh, okay, cool.
experience of like looking at the comics while listening to the art, listening to the music, and but the Bandcamp is where you can actually order it, and there's a link there. I'll send it to you guys too. Maybe put it in
Yeah, we'll definitely put it in the chat and everything like that. Ezra, I appreciate you going round 2 over here with less technical difficulties this time around. Yeah, it was definitely a pleasure having you on board. Guys, check out Ezra, aka the ear goggle.
Oh, yep.
Heck, I wanted to say Google and I was like, that's not right.
That's a different.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing. Guys, remember next week is our 100th episode. I've been doing this 100 times. It gets better with the guests. It gets worse with Jack. Like I'm just stuck here for life now. We will be holding a contest starting tomorrow, and on the 100th episode, I will announce the winner. Every day, I will post the link so you guys can, enter the contest. And every day, I will post a new image of what is going into the prize box. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram, _breakdown_show on IG. As always, it's been great. Thank God for my internet holding up. See you guys next week. Bye, everyone. Jack, close me out.